This GameFront video is brought to you by Benjamin Green, Pixel, Pelagius, and Adrian Tepesh.
GameFront.
Update!
GameFront.
Update!
GameFront.
Update!
Welcome back, everybody.
High
High five. Should we try the high
Wow.
five? How does that work? Like if I
Did
go
you
like
do it?
this. Well, if you go to the other side of you, you'd have to
I
do.
mean, can't you go to the other side of you? Like, why is it I that has to adjust?
Because
you
you're
see
on
me.
that side of the screen. What do you want me
Danny.
to do?
I don't see you.
So, man, you can't break the illusion that we're here together in the same room. Like,
Oh!
like you can't spoil the movie magic.
It's just that I'm so egocentric, I can't see anybody. So, okay, I see. You're this way? Wait, you're this way.
No, you're that way. That is confusing because I'm looking at not a mirrored image. Okay, you're that way. And if you point to the other direction you think I'm in, I should be that way. Right, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, who cares?
Would you like me to drop a little bit of science on you really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you see something, the light is coming through your eyes and it is flipping the image before your brain reads it. Did you know that?
And then your brain flips it back the other way.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, if it wasn't for that, everything in the world would be upside down.
What if everything in the world is upside down and we just perceive it this way up?
That's what I'm telling you is the case. You're living in that what-if world, Danny. Everything's upside down. Well, the problem is now you got to hold everything down. Everything's going to fall, so be careful. The more you know, the less the magic will hold it upside down for you.
Okay, I think you've gone slightly off the rails at the end there, but yes, fair enough.
Well,
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Welcome to the GameFront update. We've got some news to share specifically around Patreon, but we'll get into that in a minute. Before we do, have you got anything you want to talk about? Any news? Anything exciting going on in the world of James today?
Well, let's see. Not really. I feel like if I tell my stories here, then I'll have nothing to distract me, and we're gonna play Too Good in Elden Ring. And what I want to do is I want that game to last us a long time.
You specifically
All right,
wanted to save a story for this. Why are you?
Let's see. Here's a little tiny story. I went to the DMV, which is the Department
This isn't the
of
story you were
Motor
going to tell, but
Vehicles.
go ahead. Yeah, you went to the DMV.
Yeah, I went to the DMV. Do you guys have a DMV? I don't like. You guys must have some sort of DMV.
There is a government department for driving licenses. Yes.
And does it also exist in the 6th or 7th ring of hell?
Swansea, I think. So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's known to be really bad and long waits. But recently, you've been allowed to go online and get your identification and things, which is pretty cool. I've never been able to take advantage of it until now. But there's also another thing, and I don't know if the UK has this. There's a new thing called a real ID. So all of the IDs and licenses that I've ever had in the past, those were just regular ones. Now there's a new one that's a real ID. And I have to have one by May in order to get on an airplane and go state to state. It's kind of like a mini passport. So it turns out I did have to go into the DMV, and I couldn't do it online because I need the real ID. But I had all my paperwork, and I filled it out, and I sent it to him. I gave him my birth certificate, my passport, some medical bills, insurance bills to prove I'm me. And all I had to do was go to the DMV, no appointment needed, get into the line that was as if I had an appointment, and they're just going to give me a real ID. So I woke up really early in the morning and raced up there because I wanted to be one of the first people through the door. And it turns out that even though I could have gotten my license with just mail in, they were going to do an eye test to me, Danny. They needed me to do an eye test.
Your eyes are not very good.
No, I got bad guys, so I go up there and I'm thinking it's just going to be easy peasy, and they're like, "I need you to do the eye
Is it
test." And I
the
said,
read the license plate from 20 feet away and all that kind of
"It's
stuff?
there's a set of big letters and then some sets of
Oh,
small
just like a
letters."
standard eye test that you would get in an optician's.
Just a standard one, and so he says it. It's like, oh, I said I was allowed to just do this online. And he's like, no, well, when you come in, we go through the standards. So I read the top big letters flawlessly. I mean,
You should have read them all wrong just for a laugh. You should
the
have just
guy was pretty impressed. Then I covered one eye, and it was difficult, but I was able to get it. And then I covered my other eye, and I was like, oh, I was squeezing my eye. I was doing everything I could to see it. I couldn't read the letters. And he's like, "Do you wear glasses?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but I don't need them." He's like, "Well, we need
You
you to
clearly
read
do.
this. We need you to read this other line." And I was like, "Okay, okay." And I started rubbing my hands together, and I was doing this. And I read it again. I was like, "It's a very small prescription." I said, "It's a 0.75. Like, this can't be happening to me." I was about to lose my mind. I rubbed my eyes really bad. It was squinting. I couldn't read it. I did the best guesses I could. I don't know if he just let me pass because he's a nice guy, or if I actually got the letters right. But I'll tell you what, Danny, I'm never going to the DMV without my glasses again. But I got it. I got it.
Oh, geez, Louise. Okay, so
So that's news. I got a real ID coming my way.
what is the difference between a real ID and a passport? Why would you need that instead of a passport? Wouldn't a passport be better?
Don't Well, I could use my passport, but here in the United States, there's no reason to have a passport. The nearest country, well, Mexico's not far away, but I'm not going to different
No,
countries.
sure.
I
I understand that domestically you wouldn't have to,
Okay.
but if, for example,
Yeah.
you did want to fly domestically and you didn't have a real ID, you should be able to use a passport, right?
You can, yeah, but I don't want to take my like every time I go to Chicago or somewhere to bring my passport or I'm just gonna lose it. I have my passport locked up and I've never used it and I don't know if I ever will get a chance to.
Do you know what?
But
We
it's
just
just
use our passports for everything, man. Like if I was like when I went to Ireland, um, earlier this year,
Mhm.
you don't need a passport to go to Ireland because Northern
Really?
Ireland is
But
part of
it's a
Britain.
different country.
No, Northern Ireland
Oh,
is
oh, but
not.
it's part
Northern
of
Ireland is part of the UK, and
okay.
then there's
I'm an idiot. I didn't know that.
yeah. But I mean, there's no border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland either. So you don't need a passport to travel there either because there's free travel between
Mhm.
across Ireland. But you bring your passport anyway because you kind of need it because they're like you're going to need some kind of ID and the ID pretty much has to be a passport. So you bring a passport anyway. But they're not stamping your passport. It's not like you're actually um, entering another country or whatever. You're just using it as ID, but you need that kind of ID.
How
Um,
many stamps you got, Danny?
quite a few at this point.
I'm
I've
jealous.
got a couple of France, a couple of Belgiums, a couple of Germanys, and then San Francisco. So yeah,
Is the San Francisco one a stamp that's a little
they don't
butterfly
stamp you
on
in
the bottom part
America
of your back?
actually. So there's no
Oh,
actual stamp in
I
the book
I didn't
for.
think you did.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
good to
annoying
know.
thing. So I was like in passport control in San Francisco. I was like, oh yeah, get the old Golden Gate stamped in my passport. They don't. They just beep it on a computer and that was it. Uh, yeah, it's funny. Um, but every time I go through passport control, they're always asking me like lots and lots of questions, right? So like the guy in San Francisco like was asking. He was pleasant enough, but you know when you get that like sort of, and then the thing about America is there are people standing around with weapons as well, so that you've got armed guards hanging around and stuff
Mm.
as well. So this guy's asking questions. It's like, what are you coming into the country for? Where are you staying? When are you leaving? What are you doing? And all these really intense questions. But when I went to Gamescom recently and I landed in Frankfurt, the guy at
Mhm.
the border was just like, Gamescom? And I just nodded and he just let me straight through. It
Uh,
was that easy. It was. I don't know
wow.
how he could tell. I don't know
Well,
how he
the
could
thing
tell.
is they need to warm you up because when you get to the border patrol, they got all the weapons and stuff. It's like you slow boil a lobster or a frog. If you were to just walk out the doors of the airport into San Francisco where everybody's got weapons, you'd feel a little shocked. They're just
Yeah.
trying to warm you up to where you've arrived.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
Welcome
Did
to
you need a
America.
weapon?
They were selling him. They were selling him in the duty free.
That does not surprise me.
I don't think they were selling weapons in duty free, but I didn't look. To be fair, they could very well have been selling
Well,
Glocks.
the
Who
truth
knows?
is, I know, like, I've been trained to use almost anything as a weapon.
Mhm. Including a cantaloupe.
Nope. That's one of the few I haven't worked my way up to.
Okay.
But if you fill that cantaloupe with a big rock, then it becomes a weapon.
Well,
It's still not a good one.
okay. Patreon.
Right, so let's get to it. Let's get Patreon.
So the plan. Big announcements for Patreon. Thank you for sticking with us for 10 minutes of that.
Announcement. Yes.
At the moment, the way Patreon works is that we have 3 tiers. We have the supporter tier, we have the frontliner tier, and then I think we call it executive producer for the higher tier. Do we call it that? I don't think we do, you know. But anyway.
Well, you get an executive producer credit if you are the executive producer. If you're on that top tier. Well, let's just take a look. I mean,
no, we do call it executive producer. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So I don't know what it is in US dollars, but in British pounds, it's £3 for supporter, £8 for frontliner, and £21.50 for executive producer. That seems high. So I think what we're gonna do. There was some physical objects attached to the executive producer one, which is why it was a little higher, but maybe the price is, I'm not saying they will, but maybe we'll revise that one. The others will stay at $3, $8, but the early access to videos, which currently is only available at the frontliner and the executive producer level, we want to make available to everybody. So starting not with the videos we've already recorded as of the time we're recording this, but at the point we record the new videos that we're going to record today after we do record this, those videos will be available to everybody on early access.
Everybody. What about free members of the Patreon?
Not free members. You have to be a paid member, but but as long as you're a paid member on any tier, you'll get early access to videos. Now,
Great.
You may be asking yourself, well, why should I stay on the higher tier? And the answer is you don't necessarily have to. Although we would like it if you did. We would like it if you did, but you don't necessarily have to. However, for those who do stay on the higher tier or want to upgrade to the higher tier, if you are in the frontliner or the executive producer level, we're going to change the start of our videos so that if anyone remembers the good old days when it was like, this GameFront walkthrough is brought to you. You can do it better than me. Go ahead.
This GameFront walkthrough is brought to you by...
Yeah, so instead of... we don't longer work with but
but they get those videos are attached to it forever.
Indeed, it's true. We should just chop them all out. What are they going to do? Sue us. We should just chop them all out. We should but yeah. So the start of the videos is going to be this game from walkthrough. It's brought to you by, and then we're going to list off all the executive producers and all the frontliners as well. So if you're in the frontliner or executive producer, you'll get your name read out at the start of the video. If you are in the executive producer level, which is the top tier level, then we're going to start doing something very special. Once a month. Special. Because we did actually attach some things to these which weren't being used or whatever. Like personal hangout every month. Nobody really was like. Nobody wants to.
Nobody did it.
Nobody wants to be on a Zoom call. I
remember when Morgan and I started, we'd like sit by ourselves and like,
exactly. We do like a weekly. We do like a monthly hangout in Discord, and nobody turned up, and like nobody checked. Nobody cashed that stuff in. So clearly nobody wanted to be on who wants to be on a Zoom call? Like nobody wants to do that. So we're going to scrap that stuff, and instead, if you're at the executive producer level, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to once a month put in a request for James to read out at the start of a video, whichever series you like. So you can say, James, I want you to read this out at the start of the Elden Ring video, and then basically you'll get some dedicated time where he has to read out whatever you say. And it can be whatever you want him to say. It could be a little skit. It could be just a message. It could be a request for him to do something. It could just be whatever you want. He doesn't have to necessarily do whatever you tell him to do or ask him to do, but he will have to read it out loud. As long within reason, he can't use like wildly offensive language and things, but like I can see you pondering.
Well, I just wanted to make sure when you were ready, I wanted to say that I had a conversation with our legal team, and our legal team says that there are certain words I can't say, which I'll will reveal what those words are when they become problematic. You could do something as simple, and also we would say maybe I don't want to even use the word tweet, but 2 tweets worth
Do
of
they call
content.
them
I don't know
tweets
what.
anymore? Do they call
I
them
don't think so. They're X's, whatever they are.
zeets?
2 of them worth. Like, I'd say, like, 1,000 characters should be fine. And I'll read it. It could be like, "Oh, I wanna use this month's, blurb to say happy birthday to my mom, because my mom and my family, and we all gather around and watch Elden Ring videos together." That would be a good use for it.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah, we should put a character cap in there. It wouldn't be an
Yeah.
entirely unreasonable
Well,
one, but
I
it
think
can't
it's
it
an
can't be War and
easy
Peace.
character cap of like 1,000, and if it's 1,001, not a big deal. We're not going to be so black and white about it. I would also say that you could use that 1,000 characters to write something like James. Change your armor and stop acting like an idiot with the magic. In fact, don't use any magic in this entire episode. And I would probably honor it depending on what the thing was read, but I would at the very least read it out loud.
Yes, and if you wanted to, I mean, I guess I could do it as well. I mean, I assume most people would want you to read it, but I mean, I guess you could
Well,
ask
they
for
run a
somebody else.
risk. There's a 50-50 chance that you'll get Danny on a day where he's going to read it like he's a dum-dum. And you know that if you give me something to read, it will be read with the articulation of a really good speaker. I don't know. I mean,
It's like really trying to find hard to find a word there before you became the dum dum. You're like really
I'm not,
struggling for like.
I'm not saying I'm going to write the good stuff. I'm just saying that I can read the good stuff.
Fair enough.
And
Well,
Danny can read, but let's be honest, he's got about 50% of the vocabulary that I have.
maybe. Anyway, so there may be some other little changes we haven't quite decided yet. Whether it's just sprinkling some things around. Some of the usual stuff will stay, so you'll still get ad free on the website. You'll still get credit on the website. You'll still get the special Discord role and access to the Discord channel. We don't have a merch store anymore, so like that stuff's kind of gone, and there's been no real plan to replace the merch store because nobody really bought stuff, and when they did, it was very expensive for us to make that stuff. So I don't know about the merch stuff, so that will probably go. But we may add some new little bits in. So, for example, I'm not sure, but like maybe we can look at. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other ideas of things we can do, but we may add some more little bits in as well. But essentially, so the cliff notes are the key changes: one, early access for everybody, regardless of what tier you're on, as long as it's a paid tier. Two, the frontliner and executive producers are going to get read out at the start of the video, out loud, and be on the screen, not just in the credits at the end. And number three, the executive producers will be able to submit that thing to James once a month. Plus, we might bring the price of that down a touch because it's a bit unreasonable on what it is at the moment.
Sounds great. That all sounds good.
And so, if you are thinking about joining Patreon, these changes should be live when we push this video out because it doesn't make a ton of sense for us to not push them live when we put this video out. So now is a really good time to maybe think about joining us on Patreon if you really, really want to. It's the links are all in the descriptions and all that good shizzle. Great.
Yeah. I think the other big news that we wanted to say is that we are absolutely 100% committed to Danny doing a Halloween stream. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, the Halloween stream is the other thing we wanted to talk about. No, it's one of my favorite things to do. So the Halloween live stream will be next week. Halloween is on the 31st, right? So that's a Thursday. Is that right?
I'm trying to find a calendar. You'd think it'd be so easy.
Are you on a Windows computer?
I am.
Just click the clock in the bottom right corner. You'll get a calendar.
I tried that. It's
What do you mean you tried it? You haven't tried it. I haven't
I-
seen you reach for the mouse. Don't you lie
I'm
to me,
trying
James.
it right now. It says notifications, clear all. Fine. Notification. Then it just got smaller. It says Tuesday, October 22nd. I didn't know that, but I didn't need to know that. I don't care. Where's the calendar? There
It's
it
right
is.
there. Yeah, you just click the little arrow and then it'll
Oh,
pop out.
Halloween's on a Thursday.
Yeah, okay. So I guess not to put you on the spot, but like, what is your availability on that particular period of
On Thursday the 31st. I should be free. There is a. I should be free if the world's perfect. So there's a few things. I don't know if I have auditions. It's totally possible they try to drag me in somewhere on Halloween. If they do, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. I've always tried my very hardest not to drive anywhere on Halloween because the traffic in LA, there's only two other days that are worse, and it's Thanksgiving and it's not Christmas, but like New Year's, just around LAX. So technically I could have an audition, and if I get one on that day, it's going to be a shit show. But secondly, I usually work at the bike shop, but I only work for like 2 hours. So it would be at like 1 o'clock to like 3 o'clock, or probably as late as 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So I should be able to join you for a good portion of it, but probably not all of it. How long were you going to do it? 48 hours?
Oh, no.
72 hours?
Probably about 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure that if we
Um,
work together, we can find a time where I can be there for the whole thing. And if it's not for the whole thing, then I'll join you for a portion of it.
I think if we did maybe from maybe even 9 a.m. your time, but I don't know if you get up that early. But if not,
I do get up that early, but Aaron usually leaves for work at 10 a.m. It's not impossible, but it's just that
Okay.
there's a lot
No,
of like
10
back
a.m.
and forth behind me.
we do 10 a.m., 10, 11, 12, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, maybe 2.5 hours at least, maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe a couple of hours.
And you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe if things are just going perfect, I'll just continue on that stream and take it over. I've been wanting to do some scary streams myself.
Well,
Not
I mean, we absolutely
specifically
could
the
flip it up
itch.io.
and just put all the games on your computer instead of mine. Like, there's no reason I have to play them.
You have a better computer, but yeah.
These games are not demanding on hardware.
I have several copies of Windows running at once. It gets bogged down.
Oh man,
I'll use one of my bigger windows.
Or maybe we
it.
could flip flop. Like I play a game, you play a game, I play a game, you play a game. We can figure it out. But like, I mean, I guess that's problematic because you're having to switch. But I mean,
the real worry isn't really the computer; it's my internet. Because I would be using. I only have 20, and it's the highest amount that I can have. I'll tell you what my speed is right now. I have the best internet that I'm allowed to purchase that's available in my apartment. And
while you look that up, in fairness to the Halloween itch.io streams, the gameplay is very rarely the important part. It's usually just the crazy stuff that's happening on the screen, to be fair. So they're probably more fun to watch than to play.
So my download is 500 Mbps, which is not bad.
500 megabytes, that's half a gig. There's nothing wrong with that. That's really good.
540, 542, it's pretty good. But here comes, I'm about to see the upload speed.
I like the fact he's doing this while he's trying to upload his video to me. So this is, look, there he goes.
So I guess it's not that bad. Did my video turn bad?
Yeah, because you were just doing...
So I get 20 up.
20 up. Okay, it's fine. I mean, we'll just do it like we've done other years. But yeah, it'd be nice to have you there.
So that was my worry. Is like it's my computer can handle the gaming. It's just that if I'm streaming my video to you and streaming to Twitch, I think it would probably suffer.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll do that. I might even try and see if Zach's free. That would be fun.
Danny,
Hello.
tell me this. You're a computer genius, right?
Apparently,
Right?
allegedly,
At least compared to me. So if I'm streaming, does each of my computers have the 20 up, or would this whole apartment share 120 upload speed?
the whole apartment shares the 20 up.
Yeah. Then it wouldn't help. I was gonna say I could play on one machine and then plug in with the other, but that doesn't do any good.
No, that's fine. I will host as usual. But yeah, I'll try and see if Zach wants to join us as well because we haven't seen Zach for a while. That might be fun.
That'd be awesome.
He might not, but I'll ask. But yeah,
Tell him
cool.
it's costume. Tell him it's costume
Costume.
day.
Yeah, well, we should do
And then don't
costumes.
show up in
Why don't we
and
do
then don't show
costumes? And then don't show up in
Huh?
costumes. Just they'll show up in
Yeah.
suits.
And be like, "We were kidding. Joke's on you, Zach."
Did you know it's black tie?
No, I think we should definitely do costumes.
Oh man, yeah, no, yeah. I don't know if I've got a costume. I'll have to put one together. The great thing about being bald, of course, is you can just turn up as Uncle Fester. There's you don't have to really put that much effort in. But
I think I offended somebody the other night, Danny.
Offended?
I was offended.
Oh, go ahead.
So there was a bald person, and I was like, "Why don't you put a wig on it?"
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean,
so
obviously you offended them. Why did you think?
So
Why?
this
Why
was
is
the
there any?
actual conversation. This was the actual conversation. It's somebody that is like not my student, but somebody that studies comedy, comes to the jam, and we were hanging out outside, and he was talking about how much he missed having a bunch of hair, and because I've got curly hair. And I was like, I said, I hear you. I said, but why would like if you want to do that? I've always thought to myself, if I was gonna bald, I would shave my head, and I would wear different wigs and like do costumes of it. And he said, he didn't actually act like he was offended. He was just like, well, I wouldn't want people to notice that. And I said, everything I do in life is just hoping somebody just gives me an extra look for a second. But I totally think like it would cost money to get ones that didn't look like they were, a Halloween costume. But if you like, what would be the harm in getting like 3 or 4 different cool wigs? Like get one that looks like a legit good Fonz, get one that looks like an 80s metal hairband rocker. Like just do wigs and like commit to it. Why not? Does it not sound fun?
It does, but this is my take on it. If you're going bald, and I went bald very early, so I was like 21 when my hair just started to just recede incredibly quickly, and it kind of is like crow's nests, right? And I think that's the worst thing, right? Like if you want to,
I don't know what crow's nest mean. Oh, because
so
it was
like
just
like Hulk Hogan, right? Like back and sides,
Okay.
but there's nothing on top. So if you're gonna end up in that situation, the dignified thing to do is to just shave it off. So just do what I've done, right? Like that is like if you're clinging on to the back and sides look, if you're going for like the Prince Charles look, it's not. It just doesn't. I don't think there's any.
Well, first,
you know what I mean?
I don't necessarily agree with that, but it still doesn't negate what I was going to say. So keep going.
No. But I mean, that's my philosophy. Like, if you want to cling on to it, good for you. It's better than doing the Bobby Charlton, who was like a famous football player back in the. Well, what he used to do the comb over. So he'd like grow it out long on the sides and then comb it over the top. That
I think is ridiculous.
That is a full.
I mean, do whatever makes you feel good, but I think that looks ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just don't do the Bobby Charlton. But yeah, for me, but if you want to do like a wig,
yes,
I think the problem with wigs is this is why I don't go down that route. Excuse me, because you can do a wig. There are also now these like hair systems which are like more like semi-permanent wigs where they actually.
Well,
like,
that would ruin my idea. Like I would want the ability to change it.
But this is the thing: like most people who go for a wig or go in for these hair systems or hair transplants or whatever, is they're actively trying to cover up the fact that they've gone bald, right? But there is always that element of time where you were bald and then one day you weren't bald, right? And it's kind of like everybody knows, unless you were like locked.
Cares if somebody knows if you're having a good
time. But that's the point.
If
like
you have
the only reason you would go to that,
haircuts,
that's I. If you let me finish, if you let me
Okay, I'm
finish, I'm
sorry.
actually going to
I
come
will.
around to
I'm
agreeing
sorry.
with you. And so
Thank you.
my point is that like uh if you're going to do a wig and you're going to go to that level of effort of trying to hide it, but everybody knows anyway, there's no point. You might as well just take ownership of it. Either shave it all off, or I like your idea. So this is where I was coming to. I like your idea of like if you're going to wear a wig, then just own the fact you wear a wig because everybody knows you wear a wig.
Mhm.
And the people who don't strongly suspect it because it's fucking made of nylon and catches fire. So like you might as well just do it like an iPhone case, right? Like change it up every now and do different things and stuff.
Exactly.
The only problem with that is that I can only imagine that to get a really good wig is really expensive,
It's pretty
and to get
expensive, but
multiple really good wigs is going to be just a lot of, and they glue them on and all this kind of stuff. So like
you
it's
don't
not.
have to glue them on. You
No,
don't
but
have to
yeah,
glue
but
them
then
on.
now you're talking about like a costume wig, which is just itchy and
No, not
just not
necessarily.
comfortable.
Like I live like in Hollywood, so I've gotten a couple of wigs that I've done for different projects, and you can glue them on. But if you're bald already, then it's even easier. But you have this like hairnet thing that like puts your hair really far down, and then it kind of seals around it. Now, these wigs, I didn't get one quite this expensive, but the really good ones are like $300 or $400, and they have them in Hollywood. There's a whole bunch because it's, movie business. But for me, I am a pretty cheap ass bastard. I probably get 4 haircuts a year. They're running me, unfortunately, close to $50. Like after tip, it's more than $50. I'm spending like $200 a year on haircuts. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to shave my head, but if I was going bald, I would absolutely like every year buy a new cool wig. And like but the person that I was talking about was saying kind of what you were first saying. Is like he wanted to hide the fact that he was balding and just own that he
You
had
can't
like
hide it.
shaved his head. Own it. You can't.
That's
Well,
the
so
thing. You
that's what he
can't
did. Is he
hide
ended
it.
up shaving his head.
You can physically hide it, but everybody knows anyway because
Yeah,
unless you move and emigrate and go to a different country and just start with a brand new circle of friends, everybody knows you were going bald. Like you can't hide it. You
I
can
just feel
only.
like we're
It's
only
just
a
come on.
couple of famous TikTokers away from it becoming a fad where everybody's getting a bunch of wigs. What if we lived in a world where women were always shaving their heads so they could easily put their wig on and have a whole
Yeah,
bunch
but I
of
mean,
options?
when do hats come back in fashion? Like we
Hats
should
are
just get
cool.
back in. We should just get back into hats.
Hats are cool. I just think
Hats are
wigs are more
cool.
fun. I
Yeah,
think
no, wigs are fun, but hats can be fun as well. I mean, hats now. I'm not talking about baseball caps because baseball caps, like, yeah, I mean, they're okay, but like, I mean, like 100 years ago, everybody wore a
that's
hat.
true.
Bowlers,
Really cool hats
Stetsons,
too. There
like
has been a major lack of hat creativity in our
the
in our
hat
day and
is just
age.
like it's time for the hat to make a comeback.
I'm in.
in
I'm in.
my humble, because then if because I mean the only negative side about being bald is you feel the cold. So
Yeah.
the best way to solve that is just put a hat on. But like I mean, the real good benefit is you're the first person out of everybody to notice when it's about to rain, because
Is that true?
you can feel the little
Every
drops, and everyone's like, is it raining? I'm like, yeah, it's raining. Like, it's not raining. And then a couple of seconds later it comes and it's like, oh, you're right, it is
everybody
raining.
knows.
It's like an early detection system.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about that. That is, I'm glad that you side with me on it, because I have only had that conversation with one person, and I feel pretty strongly about it. But the problem is like because I'm not bald, I don't feel like I'm really allowed to say that
There
that's
was
what I
some
think.
very, very, very confident use of the word if earlier. Because, I mean, I hate to break it to you, James, but there is a little bit of thinning going on up top. There's a little bit going on now. I mean, I'm, I think you've got a good
What?
10 years left in you, maybe, but like maybe less. But like it is thinning. It is thinning.
No, oh, Danny. No. Let me separate this one. It's just clumping. The
Listen,
real part, the truth is, this isn't as bad as it looks. It's just that it's like when it's wet and stuff. But there is a spot in the back that is more so balding.
your pattern of balding is different to mine. Mine just went
Yeah.
all across the top, whereas you're kind of like going from the yeah. You're okay at the front, at least for now. But although
Well, as long
there's bits, but like yeah, I mean I wouldn't cut it off. Would be my advice.
don't cut it all off. Don't
Don't cut
pick
it
it.
all off. Don't pick it. You won't come back.
All right. Thanks for the heads up.
Listen, I'm not a hair expert, but you know, maybe now's the time to buy yourself a couple of packets of Rogaine. I don't know. I mean, I just
Oh, like I was saying, I'm not. It's easy for me to say when I've got the best head of hair ever in the whole world, but I'm not afraid of going bald. I don't think I don't think that I would. I think I would have fun with it.
but that's my point. Like, I don't understand why it's such a big problem. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Nobody. It's absolutely fine. It does. The only that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you. Like, the only if you were going to go down the wig route or you shouldn't be trying to hide it. If you want
No,
to wear
you'd have
one
to
for
get like some
yeah,
stylized wigs. Like start off with something like metal mullet, like so that everybody knows that you're not trying to pull one over on
yeah,
them.
exactly. Don't try and make it look inconspicuous and natural. Or just go wild with it
Yeah.
if that's what
And
you
then
want to do.
I think it
But
would
like,
start a trend. I really do. I think that
yeah,
it
yeah,
just
yeah.
takes a couple of people to like really start doing it unapologetically and larger than life. And I think it would catch on. I think
Yeah.
it'd be a fun fad at least.
No, I agree with you. But yeah, but trying to hide it is just like, there's no point. You
Yeah.
just own that shit. Like, there's absolutely no reason not to. Like, it's just, like, do you remember? You never seen Star Trek, have you? Is Star Trek The Next Generation? And you know, like how Captain Picard is bald, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, I definitely know Patrick Stewart's bald, and that's Captain Picard. So yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah,
those things.
exactly. So at the press conference, like for the start of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I think this was in like 1988, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And one of the press people in the audience was like, "How comfortable do you feel about casting a bald captain? Surely people in the future wouldn't be bald. Surely they'd have
What?
cured baldness by the 24th century." And the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, just turned around to the reporter and said, "By the 24th century, nobody will care."
Yeah,
That's
no
the answer.
shit. That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, it's not that by the 24th century we'll have cured baldness. It's by the 24th century, just nobody cares. Like, it's fine. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's okay. You know, live with it.
Hey, so we've
Cool.
covered so many topics today.
I think we're done.
And this video was brought to you by Patreon.
Yeah, please subscribe to Patreon so we can buy
Please
James a new wig.
subscribe.
Please.